You're a summoner? That's the weakest class in the world. The moment Lin Xiao awakened his class, everyone laughed at him. His rival called him trash. No team wanted him. No one believed he could clear a dungeon. Even a normal combat class was considered better than becoming a summoner. But they had no idea. Lin Xiao had awakened a unique S-tier talent. A talent so powerful that nobody else in the world could ever obtain it. Every single day, he gains a brand new S-rank talent. His first summon was just a tiny skeleton. Weak, pathetic, worthless. But after receiving an S-rank talent, it evolved into a terrifying Death Knight. A monster capable of slaughtering entire armies. Then his slime gained the power of endless evolution through devouring. His goblin became a master of legendary weapons. And that was only the beginning. While other people struggled to make one summon stronger, Lin Xiao gave countless S-rank talents to all of his summons. Every day they evolved. Every day they grew stronger. Every day they became more terrifying. Geniuses, prodigies, heroes, none of them could even defeat his weakest summon. Then the abyss descended upon the world. Demon gods appeared. Ancient monsters awakened. Even the gods themselves looked down upon humanity. But when humanity stood on the edge of extinction, one man stepped forward. Behind him stood an army powerful enough to shake heaven and earth. An army of death knights, ancient beasts, divine creatures, and beings powerful enough to rival gods. The world finally realized one terrifying truth. The strongest army was never an army. The strongest kingdom was never a kingdom. It was one summoner, and his summons. This is the story of Lin Xiao, the summoner who turned the weakest class into the strongest existence in the world. Week 1 8-hour video will be uploaded. All novels uploaded here are completed, so you will get a full story without searching or waiting. I have listened to the translated version on web, and there are no major problems with translation. If you want Chinese novel translated, give me the original name of the novel and I will respond to your request as soon as possible. Please make sure your request is on the latest video. If you hear this "u" sound in the novel, it means either question mark or some space is left, like getting materials or experience gain there more but not shown. If after a name is used and after there is silence, it means exclamation marks were used as in shock. I don't know if this will happen in recorded one, but it happened in web version. Chapter 410. Upon hearing Yen Shua's reminder, Lin Xiao immediately became alert. Since the interference transmitter is the nemesis of Lotes, he will definitely keep a close eye on this place and prevent anyone from taking it. That's why he told Yen Shua to be wary of any sudden changes. Nine-tailed celestial fox, snow maiden doll. Take it down quickly. Lin Xiao quickly issued the instructions. The two women acted swiftly, and the fusion of ice and fire created a spectacular sight, exploding on the deep-sea tyrant. Just then, the tremors from the ground grew more and more intense, and with a bang, a giant black starfish octopus emerged from the ground. It's the devourer of splits, Yen Shua shouted as soon as he saw the dungeon monster appear. It has a strong ability to split. Lin Xiao, you focus on dealing with the deep-sea tyrant in front of you. We'll deal with it. Just as Yen Shua was about to launch an attack to cover Lin Xiao, he stopped him, saying, "No need." Boom! Thunder roared, and a terrifying purple heaven tribulation divine thunder struck the black starfish octopus directly, instantly charring it to a crisp. The charred outer shell quickly peeled off, revealing his original appearance. The splitter glared at Lin Xiao, then pustules appeared on its skin. As the pustules burst, tiny pink octopuses emerged and crawled toward Lin Xiao at an extremely fast speed. Snort! The goblin emperor snorted coldly, and the goblin army behind him immediately appeared, beginning to encircle and annihilate the pink octopuses that had split off. These tiny pink octopuses are incredibly fast. Once they jump onto Goblin, they attach themselves firmly and begin to absorb the energy within him, growing rapidly afterward. In the blink of an eye, the small octopus grew to the size of an adult male. He has some skill, but that's about it. Emperor Goblin reached into the king's treasury, retrieved a lightning whip, and then lashed it forward with great force. In an instant, a terrifying arc of electricity appeared in the void, instantly incinerating the pink octopuses and emitting a strong smell of roasted meat. But his attack was not over yet. The weapons in the king's treasury were quickly distributed to the goblin army, and the rest were all thrown at the splitters. These weapons were all of legendary quality or higher, and some were even epic. This goblin's fighting style is too overpowered. Lin Xiao was stunned. The same applies to Yan Anning and Xian Xueqing. After distributing all the legendary and higher quality weapons, there was still so much equipment left to attack the enemy, and the most straightforward and brutal way to do it was by throwing it. Wow! Ice Dragon Greatsword. Ah! Juk! Hiss Flame Meteor Greatsword. Watching the weapons being thrown out, Yen felt envious but also heartbroken. These are all good weapons. Roar! Just as Lin Xiao, Yan Anning, and Xian Xueqing were shocked by the Goblin Emperor's extravagant battle, a roar came from afar. Yes, Sea Overlord! Yan Anning's expression changed. Why would such an outrageous monster appear here? Lin Xiao's expression was equally grim. He quickly said, "It must have been Lotz's doing. That violent collision must have been caused by him summoning all the other dungeon bosses. No matter what, get Lin Xiao back first. The Sea Overlord is too strong." Yan Anning was very anxious. She finally understood why the interference transmitter had fallen there and why no one had been able to retrieve it. It turned out that Lotz had such insidious methods and that spirit wasn't the only one controlling it. This time, Lin Xiao didn't need to be reminded. He heard the roar, felt the ground tremble violently, and imagined that the other party must be quite large. "Lin Xiao, we should leave now. This monster is a Sea Overlord, and we can't deal with it right now. It was that damned bastard Lotz who called over the other dungeon bosses." The Yen siblings spoke very quickly, and it was clear that they were really anxious. Lin Xiao did not immediately withdraw from the battle. After Snow Maiden Doll and Nine-Tailed Celestial Fox delivered the final blow to the deep-sea tyrant, he said, "We can't escape. Since Lotz's attention is here, he definitely won't let us leave easily. The Sea Overlord? Let me test just how strong this guy really is." Lin Xiao looked in the direction the sound came from. Besides the sound of the other person running, there was also the sound of something crashing into a wall and shattering. Roar! The sound carried an extremely strong penetrating force, crashing towards the location of Lin Xiao and the others like a shockwave, even shattering the ground as a result. Yan Anning's expression changed. "Oh no! My Starry Sky domain field OW is becoming unstable. Once the Starry Sky domain field disappears, their area will be covered by seawater, at which point they will be completely at a disadvantage." May Our Lady sing forever. A loud singing voice rang out, and Xian Shueqing quickly helped Yan Anning stabilize Starry Sky Domain Field. A gigantic sea monster entered Lin Xiao and the others' field of vision. It had a ferocious look on its face and wore a stone crown on its head, symbolizing its identity in the ocean. Sea Overlord. Level 78. Quality Legendary. Description: the tyrant of the ocean, possessing immense power, virtually invincible. D. The Sea Overlord opened its huge mouth wide, and a surge of energy erupted from it, destroying everything in its path. Without further ado, they went straight for the kill. Faced with the attack from the Sea Overlord, Lin Xiao remained calm and immediately released his elemental domain to amplify the power of Snow Maiden Doll and Nine-Tailed Celestial Fox. Nine-Tailed Celestial Fox activated her innate ability to quickly switch to the Ice attribute, and then attack together with Snow Maiden Doll. Slime's Ice-type Forbidden Curse was also completed quickly, locking onto the distant Sea Overlord. The three launched an attack together, completely neutralizing the incoming energy blast. Then, several Forbidden Curse appeared above the Sea Overlord's head. Annihilation of the Cold Tide, Ice Waterfall Divine Art, Hellish Ice Storm, Final Ice Prison. The powerful Ice-type Forbidden Curse, combined with Snow Maiden Doll's godlike talent, leaving God, instantly froze the Sea Overlord in place. Break! Snow Maiden Doll lightly tapped her finger, and the leaving God a talent was immediately triggered. Combined with her own Ice Blast spell, she immediately dealt a heavy blow to the Sea Overlord. Even after the frozen state was broken, Snow Maiden Doll's powerful frost energy quickly seeped into his body, causing his blood to gradually turn cold and then begin to freeze. "You're asking for it," the Sea Overlord roared, causing the surrounding seawater to tremble. And then it transformed into a powerful tsunami that crashed towards Lin Xiao's location. He had no idea that the human in front of him was so powerful, and that he had been severely injured as soon as they met. "I am the Overlord of the ocean. How could I be inferior to a weak human?" Seeing the terrifying giant waves, Yan Anning quickly warned, "My Starry Sky Domain Field can't withstand such an impact. It will be washed away. Just take care of yourselves." Lin Xiao spoke calmly. Seeing this, Snow Maiden Doll struck again. Equipped with gear forged by Old Goat, it could absorb the surrounding elements and convert them into ice even faster, just as the surging tsunami was about to hit. Her forbidden curse is complete once again. Chapter 411. The surrounding temperature continued to drop, and the elements were rapidly evaporating and transforming by the Snow Maiden Doll, leaving only ice elements in the air. Forever frozen. With a slight movement of his lips, a powerful force of frost swept over, and in the blink of an eye, the massive tsunami was instantly frozen, forming a breathtaking underwater spectacle. The Overlord of the sea froze, maintaining his angry posture. "Wow, that's amazing!" Yan Anning was completely stunned. She couldn't believe that Lin Xiao could so easily subdue even the Sea Overlord. "Little sister, I think you should give it a try. This guy is amazing. If he could become my brother-in-law, I would be so proud." This time, Yan Anning immediately retorted, and after a moment she shook her head. He is too strong. We are ultimately not from the same world. Successfully defeated the Splitter Devourer. Boss. 1 million experience points. Acquired. Skill. Split. General. *1. Black octopus tentacles. Consumable. *3. Ink gallbladder. Material. *5. Goblin Emperor also successfully ended the battle. It's only a matter of time before we take care of the last Sea King. Lin Xiao stopped paying attention to the female doll's combat engagements and left it to them to handle. He then went to the location of the interference transmitter, picked it up, and it looked the same as the one he had obtained before. Upon seeing this, Lin Xiao and the others rushed over, exclaiming joyfully, "Great! We finally got it back. I'll leave this with you for now, and I'll give it to you when we get out," Lin Xiao said to Yan Anning. Yan Anning understood that Lin Xiao was afraid he would break his promise, so he didn't refuse his request. "Okay. We'll make the deal after we get out." After putting the items away, Lin Xiao waited for Snow Maiden Doll and the other two to finish off the sea monster before heading to dungeon. The location of the boss. Deep in the ocean. Lotz's eyes practically blazed with fury as he watched this scene unfold. He never imagined that even with so many powerful bosses he had summoned, they couldn't stop the opponent. After a brief period of anger, he turned to excitement. "Good, very good. Only someone as strong as you can become the sacrifice to break my seal. Since no one else can bring you here, then I will come to meet you myself." Lotz's eyes snapped open, pulling Lin Xiao's dungeon closer and projecting himself into it. "I'm waiting for you here, hoping you'll get here soon. He. The interference transmitter was successfully retrieved, but the sense of crisis lingering in Lin Xiao's mind still hadn't disappeared. Although we encountered quite a few powerful dungeon monsters, it wasn't quite as dangerous as I had anticipated. So, the real danger might be in the boss room, Lin Xiao pondered. The final boss room might contain an 80-level boss, or perhaps Lotz is waiting for you there. The probability of Lotz is very small, so it's more likely to be an 80-level boss. As for why a level 80 boss would appear in a level 70 dungeon, it's obvious that Lotz was behind it. The journey was smooth, and no more dungeon monsters or professionals controlled by spirit appeared along the way. How eerie! There aren't any monsters left. It feels like something is waiting for us. Yan Anning noticed that something was wrong with her surroundings. "I have this feeling. I feel uncomfortable all over." Xian Xueqing agreed with Yan Anning's statement. She didn't know when it started, but she felt uneasy and anxious. "I have a feeling we can't take the interference transmitter out so easily. Lotz will definitely try to stop us." Yan Shuo also felt uneasy. Lin Xiao remained silent, while secretly preparing herself. After passing through a long corridor paved with bricks and stones, with incomprehensible patterns carved on the surrounding walls, a large door soon appeared in front of Lin Xiao and the others. After only a brief pause, Lin Xiao pushed open the door and walked in. A sudden wave of pressure swept over him, and a giant eyeball in the ocean stared at the spot where Lin Xiao was. Several octopus tentacles dangled on the wall, like a giant external creature peering into their world. Lin Xiao's face immediately darkened. Looking at the enormous eye in the ocean, he said in a deep voice. Lotes. Spirit controller, Lotes. God. Level 80. Quality, mythical. Description. A god skilled in spirit manipulation and manipulating people's hearts. During the war, Venus sacrificed his life to imprison him at the bottom of the sea, where he could never rise again. Because of this imprisonment, he could not fully unleash his power. But even though he possessed powerful spirit and divine strength, he remained the unsung ruler of the ocean, controlling the monsters within. The Spirit Palace, which arose from his own spirit power, is a cage he built to control marine life and human professionals, making them his eternal slaves. You don't want to encounter it, but it happens anyway. Did they anticipate that they would come? Lotes. Upon seeing the giant eye in the ocean and the octopus tentacles all around, Lin Xiao envisioned a monster. Lotes, the mastermind behind all of this. Can we win? Yan Anning gripped the staff hand tightly, her body trembling uncontrollably. Lotes. Was he once a god? Can we really defeat this monster? Maybe we should run away. Xian Shueqing began to have second thoughts, and fear continued to spread in her heart. Although Lotes is only level 80, his level 80 is completely different from that of ordinary monsters. This is a god, although it has now been sealed away. Come forward, and I can let the others leave. Lotes imprints his voice in people's minds through the spirit, pointing to a special area in front of him. Lin Xiao glanced at it, and abyssal I immediately gave a hint. Sacrifice altar. Upon entering, sacrifice loses herself, weakening the seal on Lotes. Note: this is an external artifact. Its creator is unknown. Lin Xiao exclaimed excitedly. Really? If Lin Xiao steps on it, will you let us leave? I never break my word. Yan Anning also shouted to Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao, hurry up and go inside, so we can leave safely without having to fight such a powerful monster. Xian Shueqing nodded repeatedly. That's right. This way we don't have to fight and we can leave this place. It's great that Lotes isn't such a ferocious monster after all. He's quite reasonable. Lin Xiao was not surprised by the persuasion from the people behind him. When facing Lotes, he also felt a strong spirit fluctuation that kept sweeping over him. Look, your friend said so. Hurry up and come up. Chapter 412. A boring spirit control method. Do you really think that's possible? Lin Xiao was not surprised that Yan Anning and the other two were controlled by Lotes' spirit. They don't possess the same powerful spirit ability as themselves. Relying on that imitation interference transmitter, it's simply a pipe dream for Xian Shueqing's tranquilizing talisman to resist Lotes' spirit control. Snow Maiden Doll and Nine-Tailed Celestial Fox stepped forward, looking at the large eye in the sky burning with fierce fighting spirit, showing no fear even though their opponent was a god. Then I'll kill you and throw you back in. It'll be the same thing. Lotes was not surprised, nor did he expect to win over Lin Xiao with just a few words. Suddenly, a starry sky domain field disappeared, and a large amount of seawater poured in, instantly submerging the location where Lin Xiao was. I am invincible in the sea, but how long can we survive here together? As soon as she finished speaking, an octopus tentacle lashed out, Snow Maiden Doll immediately erected an ice wall to block it, but she was a fraction too slow and was sent flying. Instantly inflict heavy damage. In the ocean, you won't survive long without my help. You humans are still a lowly, inferior species that have to rely on breathing. Lot's attack did not stop there. Without hesitation, Lin Xiao rushed to Yen Anning's location and handed her the interference transmitter. Lot's spirit control is immediately released. A counterfeit is still a counterfeit, and it can't compete with the real Lot's at all. Yen Anning instantly regained her senses. What am I doing? She had barely opened her mouth when a large amount of seawater rushed in, nearly drowning her. Obviously influenced by Lot's, professionals controlled by spirit possess the property of being immune to seawater, thus preventing them from dying by drowning. Yen Anning immediately realized what had happened and quickly opened the Starry Sky domain field, restoring the surrounding area to a waterless zone. At that moment, Yen Shuo and Xian Xueqing immediately launched an attack on her, determined to kill Yen Anning. Lin Xiao showed no mercy, delivering a punch to each of them, severely injuring them and rendering them unconscious. Hide them both well and then expand Starry Sky domain field, preferably to surround Lot's. I might not be able to defeat him since he is in the ocean. That's the truth. Lot's attack just now almost killed Snow Maiden Doll, and even he was shocked. Even when fighting the abyssal Nash netherworm in the Abyss Great Canyon, it wasn't this exaggerated. Clearly, Lot's, being in the ocean, could achieve a terrifying level of power, even though he is now sealed away. Okay, but Lot's spirit is too strong. I don't know how long a Starry Sky domain field can last, or whether it can cover it. As Yen Anning spoke, he raised the staff, and the original Starry Sky domain field instantly expanded tenfold, encompassing the giant eyeball that was originally in the ocean. I have expanded Starry Sky domain field to its maximum size, but Lot's is larger than I imagined. His body is still underwater, and all we can see now is his head. Yen Anning explained the situation. She couldn't imagine that this was the reality of Lot's. It was completely different from the descriptions in the book. So this time he held nothing back, pouring all his magic power into this one and only skill. That's enough. Just stay here and take good care of yourself. After giving his instructions, Lin Xiao returned to the main battlefield. Yen Anning watched Lin Xiao's departing figure, unable to imagine how he would fight such a monster. Can we really win? This is a god. Even if he was only a god in the past, his power is still beyond their ability to deal with. We just went through a major battle not long ago, and now we're facing another one. It's a bit overwhelming. Lin Xiao sighed, but now he had no choice but to accept the challenge. He summoned the lucky spirit and immediately gave the command, 6 o'clock. As lucky spirit threw the dice, Lin Xiao complained, Master, why do you always pick these tough monsters? Do you have some kind of masochistic tendency? That giant bug was already monstrous enough, but this giant octopus is even more monstrous. Are you trying to push your limits? Or are you courting death? As they were talking, the number rolled reached 6. The Starry Sky domain field, amplified by Yen Anning, instantly increased 6-fold. This? Yen Anning was completely stunned, having no idea what had happened. "This was an accident," Lin Xiao replied casually. Then, using the shadow of the green capital S replication ability, another lucky spirit was summoned. It's 6 o'clock again. The original Starry Sky domain field has been upgraded again, now completely covering Lot's entire body. At this moment, Lotz also realized that something was wrong and felt his power waning. "I underestimated you. You actually have this ability." Lotz stared at Lin Xiao. "But so what? Even if I'm not in the ocean, you're still no match for me." Lin Xiao smiled faintly. "Who knows?" The moment the Death God Knight was summoned, a hint of seriousness appeared on Lot's face for the first time. "So you had other tricks up your sleeve. You even had a second summoned beast as strong as that snow woman. No, it seems this undead knight is even stronger. Is this your trump card?" "But that's not enough." Lotz roared, and terrifying spirit waves rippled out. Yan Anning's Starry Sky domain field began to become unstable and showed signs of disappearing. It was Xiao Mo who appeared beside Lin Xiao. With her small, delicate fingers pointing towards the sky, green psychic energy rippled out and covered the surroundings, forcefully blocking Lot's spirit fluctuations. Lot's huge eyes suddenly narrowed, and his gaze fell on Mo. Divine power? No, not quite, but it was still a bit short of the power level of the leaving god. But even so, it made Lotz extremely annoyed. He used to be a god, but he is not anymore. He was unable to completely suppress Xiao Mo's telekinetic power, which undoubtedly greatly weakened his own abilities. Xiao Jing was summoned to unleash her domain, and at the same time, the spirit coffin rose from the ground, from which the ice and snow queen emerged. She glanced at Lotz in front of her, then turned back to look at Lin Xiao. Her resentful and helpless gaze said it all. This time, Lotz fell completely silent. He realized he had underestimated the human before him. He hadn't come to retrieve the interference transmitter, but to kill him. Yan Anning watched all this from behind, completely stunned, muttering to himself, "Is this summoner's one-man army? It's too strong. Perhaps it really is possible." Chapter 413. Forbidden Curse paves the way, and Slime launches the first attack. One by one, Forbidden Curse laws are outlined in the sky and then released. The terrifying roar of the Forbidden Curse destroyed everything around it, but it had little effect on Lotz. Slime who can use Forbidden Curse. Lotz cast a glance at him. While the silent curse is powerful, it still can't break through my defenses. As they spoke, octopus tentacles swept across, leaving a deep, bottomless trench in the ground like sharp blades. Slime immediately erected a defense to block them. At this moment, Death God Knight launched an attack, riding the undead warhorse to reach Lotz. He swung out the scythe of the Death God, radiating a strong aura of death. Snort! The octopus tentacles slammed down, only to be instantly severed by the scythe in Death God Knight's hand. The sight made Lotz's eyes narrow in surprise. But the next second, the severed octopus tentacles quickly grew back and launched a sneak attack on Death God Knight. Click! The power of ice covered the area, instantly freezing the attacking octopus tentacles, and then quickly climbed up, attempting to freeze Lotz completely. Lotz acted decisively, immediately severing his tentacles, his gaze sweeping over Death God Knight and Snow Maiden Doll. A weapon imbued with divine power, an ice with a faint divine aura. Lot's gaze grew colder, and in an instant, countless tentacles emerged from behind him, slender and long, shooting out like arrows the next second. "Wow! Get out of the way!" Lucky Spirit shouted. Lin Xiao immediately began sliding and dodging the tentacles shooting from the sky. Suddenly, a powerful spirit attack struck, like a sneak attack launched without warning, giving Lin Xiao no time to prepare. Lin Xiao's head snapped back as if he had been shot, and he immediately felt dizzy. He was not under control. "Although Summoner majored in spirit, you are the first person who can withstand my spirit control." Lot spoke indifferently. He could tell from the previous battle that Lin Xiao was very strong, but he didn't expect that Lin Xiao could withstand his spirit control attack and only suffer minor injuries. "I can't imagine how far his spirit has gone." Lin Xiao wiped away the blood from her nose and scoffed. "Even gods would resort to such despicable sneak attacks? Oh, I forgot. You are no longer a god." This sentence completely ignited Lot's anger. "Once I break the seal and escape from your sacrifice, I will regain my life force and status. Is that so? Then I can only say you don't have that chance." The Death Knights launched another attack. The gate of death opened, and heroic spirits were summoned. The aura of death spread, enveloping the entire domain and transforming it into a land of the dead. Graves and tombstones emerged from the ground, and the spirits of those who had died at the hands of the Death God Knight were resurrected from them. Mythical talent, Eternal Valley's resting place. Seeing this, Yen Anning, who was hiding in the back, was completely stunned. The aura of death filled her with fear and cold, as if she were about to be embraced by death at any moment. "Why do I have this feeling that he's the bad guy?" Yen Anning murmured. "It's as if Lin Xiao is the villain." Sensing the change in Death God Knight, Lot's eyes narrowed sharply. The power of death! Shocked, their gaze fell upon Death God Knight's scythe, and they finally understood what weapon Death God Knight was holding. "I underestimated you. I never imagined you possessed the Grim Reaper's weapon." Lot's deep voice carried a hint of apprehension. The power of the heroic spirits converged within them, and they launched an attack amidst the charge of the hell creature and the undead. Although the hell creatures and the undead are not as numerous as the Lots, they have the advantage of sheer numbers. Climbing up the Lot's tentacles is the most frenzied and primal attack. Lots ignored the ants on his body and focused all his attention on Death God Knight. He suddenly pulled out his octopus tentacles, tearing the space around him. Death God Knight brandishes the scythe of the Death God, exuding deathly aura and slaying the lives of all living beings around him. Instant death. As the scythe slashed down, the octopus's tentacles were severed, and a dense aura of death clung to them like flames. Lots looked at the tentacles stained with deathly energy and tried to sever them so they could regenerate, only to find it was impossible. "Each time I tried to be reborn, a force of death extinguished my hope." Death God Knight vanished instantly, arriving beneath Lots and triggering a sigh of the Death God, where the powerful force of death forcibly stripped Lots of a portion of his life. Lotz was startled and immediately waved his tentacles to drive him away. Is this your trump card? It certainly has the ability, but unfortunately, it's still no match for me. As the last word fell, Lotz let out a roar, and then a large number of octopus tentacles launched an attack on Death God Knight. However, at that moment, one after another forbidden curse magic circles lit up above his head, dazzling the eye, with a total number of over 100. That terrifying aura of destruction almost completely overshadowed the aura of death emanating from Death God Knight. Lotz was completely stunned. He could handle a dozen or so forbidden curses, but so many at once. Can slime release so many forbidden curse? Of course, it's not entirely that. There's also Snow Maiden Doll, Ice and Snow Queen, and Nine-Tailed Celestial Fox. Boom! All the forbidden curse slammed into Lotz. Instead of continuing their attack, Lotz withdrew to defend, enveloping themselves to withstand the devastating blow. This level of treatment was unprecedented, even when dealing with the abyssal Nash netherworm. Bite! When forbidden curse exploded, there was only a loud bang, and then all sound was gone. All that could be seen was the beautiful scene of forbidden curse's destruction. Yan Anning was stunned. More than 100 forbidden curses. Even Lotz might not be able to survive. Lin Xiao watched the scene of destruction before him, and even after all the energy had been released, he still hadn't received a kill notification. This guy is really tough. He survived over 100 forbidden curse attacks. Lin Xiao murmured, preparing to let Slime and the others play another round. They haven't been able to kill Lotz yet, but they've certainly injured him. Forbidden curse is being prepared again. As the smoke dissipated, the chaotic and violent elements gradually calmed down, and Lotz the duck reappeared in front of Lin Xiao. Is this your last resort? Lotz asked coldly, but the wisps of white smoke rising from his head looked rather comical. If that's all there is to it, then obediently become my sacrifice and help me break free from this damned seal. With a roar, the spirit power transformed into a powerful physical attack, sweeping across the entire area like a sound wave. The Hell Sanctuary and the undead were instantly annihilated. When they reached Ling Xiao's side, Xiao Mo immediately took action and forcefully calmed down the terrifying spirit power. Chapter 414. Lotz looked at Xiao Mo again with a gloomy expression, as if he wanted to tear it to pieces. After all, Lin Xiao did not have an interference transmitter and could not be truly immune to his spirit manipulation. As long as his attack frequency is high enough, there will eventually be a time when he can't take it anymore and becomes his spirit slave. But with that damned green creature around, it's much more difficult to make Lin Xiao become his spirit slave. However, this is not the only way to deal with him. An octopus tentacle was quietly released, and Lotz sneered at Lin Xiao. I have been sealed away until now, and you are the strongest human I have ever seen. However, you are still too inexperienced. You are really too naive to think you can kill me. Severing my connection with the ocean is indeed a good idea, but this ability doesn't come from you. If it were you, I might be worried about dying at your hands, but unfortunately, before Lotz could finish speaking, Lin Xiao realized what he was about to do and abruptly looked towards where Yan Anning was. An octopus tentacle suddenly lashed out at Yan Anning, moving so fast that only a blur could be seen flashing through the air. Yan Anning was unaware of what had happened. She only saw Lin Xiao looking at her nervously. When she realized what was happening, she felt a gust of wind whistling past. Bang! She was prepared to die, but when the sound rang out, she found herself standing there unharmed. She stiffly turned her head and saw that Spider Prince had taken the blow for her. Before he could even express his gratitude, the octopus struck him, turning him into a cloud of blood mist, leaving only one eyeball showing a hint of terror. That's ridiculous. Do you think I don't know you sent a summoned beast to protect him? Sending only one person is laughable. Lotz launched a merciless attack. With Yan Anning's death, Starry Sky Domain Field also disappeared, and a massive amount of seawater rushed in. Lin Xiao was not surprised, and he had already prepared a countermeasure. Lotz is extremely powerful. If she is determined to kill Yan Anning, it will be almost impossible for me to stop her unless I use all the summoned beasts to protect her. But that would be putting the cart before the horse. Slime. The divine resurrection spell. Slime, who was storing forbidden curse in preparation for another round of bombardment, stopped and cast a resurrection spell at the location of the already dead Yan Anning. Don't even think about it. Lotz roared and unleashed a powerful spirit force, forcibly interrupting Slime's resurrection spell. Ha ha ha. Lin Xiao, are you ready to become my sacrifice? Lotz laughed heartily. The filling of seawater gave him power again, and his severely injured body began to recover, with his injuries healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lin Xiao's face darkened. His resurrection had been interrupted. Left with no other choice, he could only store all the Yan Anning fragments in his storage space. After killing Lotz, they resurrected her. After all, he can't die. His reward is still owed to him. The interference transmitter that caused the fall was now worn on the body, so there was no need to worry about Lotz's spirit interference. My power has returned, and it's time for the children's playhouse to end. Lotz let out a cold laugh. The ocean is his home turf. He is invincible in the ocean. In contrast, Lin Xiao, snort, Xiao Mo. The seawater nearby has receded. How could Lin Xiao not have a corresponding solution? Xiao Mo nodded, his whole body radiating green light. A barrier of mental energy expanded from his body, forcibly pushing aside the surrounding seawater to create a special space for Lin Xiao and the others. Ha ha ha, that girl's ability is special. You damn green guy, you can't imitate her ability. With that, the octopus's tentacles slammed down on the green psychic barrier, instantly creating a large hole, and seawater rushed in. Xiao Mo was very angry and quickly used her telekinesis to fill the shattered hole back in. Death God Knight immediately launched an attack. Mo's inner force barrier was not enough to cover Lotz, so he could only rush into the ocean to fight Lotz. The ocean was the opponent's home ground. Death God Knight was in the ocean, which further weakened his strength. After several battles, he was no match for him and suffered repeated serious injuries. This also means that Slime et al. Have completed the forbidden curse, with more than a dozen more than the previous one. Using this trick again? You think it'll be the same as before? What a joke. Lotz, being in the ocean, was fearless and launched an attack on the falling forbidden curse. Countless octopus tentacles soared into the air, creating a chaotic dance that submerged part of the forbidden curse in midair. But many still landed on him. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Under the relentless bombardment of forbidden curse, Lotz laughed maniacally, and after the attack, there was almost no sign of injury on his body. Lin Xiao's face darkened. This guy is far more troublesome than the abyssal Nash netherworm. Wow, is this giant octopus really that powerful? It seems so. He can't do anything to him. It seems like I won't be able to eat takoyaki anymore. Idiot, you're still thinking about food. I think we should run away as soon as possible. We can't let him die here. Yes, if he dies here, there will be no one to talk to us anymore. I agree. Let's persuade him to leave quickly. The calamity spirits were always by his side, but seeing Lin Xiao fighting, they wisely kept quiet. Given the current battle situation, they are starting to panic. Don't rush to leave. If this last method doesn't work, then we really will have to go. Lin Xiao had never imagined facing Lotz. All her previous preparations were based on the assumption that it would be an 80-level dungeon. Boss, can only be said that this was a complete accident. When he encountered Lotz, he even considered the possibility of Yan Anning's death, but Slime had the ability to revive at lightning speed, so he wasn't afraid. Unexpectedly, Lotz managed to forcibly disable Slime's resurrection spell. I don't know how he did it, but to achieve this, there must have been some kind of consumption or cost, otherwise he could have just banned all his abilities. You still have a way? I feel like you've run out of ideas, Calamity Spirit asked anxiously. Yes, Lin Xiao said. We just need to isolate Lotz from the seawater again. Really? But that girl is dead and no longer has that ability. Yes, Slime's resurrection magic has also been banned, so that girl simply cannot come back to life. It's still the time resurrection spell. This will definitely bring that girl back to life. Fool, time is forbidden. Have you forgotten how he died? That's right, it was because he touched the taboo and died that the evil side was born, and the evil side then gave rise to 9 gods, which is how we came to be. Chapter 4:15. Lin Xiao suddenly looked at the evil spirits. They seemed to have revealed some terrible news during their conversation. That god. Was he killed for breaking the taboo? Has the taboo on time been violated? He wanted to ask for more information, but this was not the time to discuss such matters. This is the only option left. One last try. Lin Xiao summoned Chaos. Chaos is no match for Lotz, but it has a special ability that might have a surprising effect. Since it requires devouring gods to grow, the effect should not be too bad. Lin Xiao gently stroked the chaos. He could see the mist gathering towards his palm, clearly in response to him. Chaos. Let me see your power. Calamity, drought. Lin Xiao immediately issued instructions to him. This is also the only ability that Chaos can use, the ability it gained by devouring the crystal of the god of calamity. Calamity. This was the only way he could think of to get Lotz out of the seawater again. Ah? Before Lin Xiao could see Chaos make any move, she heard a gasp from Calamity Spirit beside her. Looking in the direction of the sound, Lin Xiao noticed one of the Calamity Spirits, whose body was gradually turning yellow. Huh? Why have you turned yellow? Oh, you're not clean anymore. Have you been reading too much taboo stuff? You're the one who's unclean. I don't know why my body has become like this. In its haste, the yellowed calamity spirit flew out uncontrollably. I feel like I can't control myself anymore. The calamity spirit roared, and Lin Xiao felt its panic for the first time. Calamity spirit then landed on the ground, and in the next instant, Lin Xiao, who was still enveloped by seawater, suddenly felt her body lighten as her feet touched the ground. The surrounding area had become drought. Lin Xiao, he was completely bewildered. Looking around, he could no longer see a single drop of seawater, and the air was incredibly dry. His throat felt burning hot, as if it were being scorched by flames. In the distance, a deep blue curtain can be seen. That is ocean. This is the power of calamity? Lin Xiao gasped. The area looked as if it had been sliced off, and the seawater had suddenly evaporated. Lotes, Death God Knight, and others were also shocked by this sudden turn of events. Lotes, in particular, had absolutely no idea what was going on. The seawater vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a barren piece of land. Lin Xiao looked at the chaos, then at the calamity spirit. Now he finally understood the role of these calamity spirits and why they existed. They are the calamity itself, the bullets that unleash natural disasters. Whenever chaos uses the power of calamity, one calamity spirit will transform into one of the calamities. Is this the power of calamity divine power? It was completed in an instant. Lin Xiao was amazed. However, once the calamity is released, it cannot be taken back. But Lin Xiao can't worry about that now. He has to deal with Lotes first. What exactly did you do? Lotes' roar echoed. He couldn't believe Lin Xiao possessed such abilities. Losing seawater would weaken him, but this time he felt something different from before. Not only was he weak, but his skin also began to dry out and crack. I'm telling you, you're finished. Lin Xiao immediately switched the elemental fusion set to the elemental domain. The ice elemental domain has transformed into a fire elemental domain. Xiao Jing also completed her replacement at the same time. Master, what have you done? I feel like I'm about to die. Lucky Spirit stuck out her tongue. She felt unbearably hot, as if she were about to dehydrate. Lin Xiao, just bear with it. The two gods are very powerful, but they do not distinguish between friend and foe. Even their own summoned beasts are slightly affected. Immediately recall Snow Maiden dolls. Go back first. This kind of environment is not suitable for you to fight. The extreme drought resulted in the absence of almost no water or ice elements in the air. Even though Snow Maiden doll can convert other elements into ice, Calamity Divine Power is too overpowered, making it almost impossible for Snow Maiden doll to complete the conversion smoothly. The best option is to let her go home and rest. Ice and Snow Queen has also returned to the spirit coffin, where the extreme environment is no longer suitable for his battles. Before leaving, she couldn't help but glance at Lin Xiao. You really change every day. With Snow Maiden doll reclaimed, someone naturally took her place, and Lin Xiao summoned the Goblin Emperor. In this environment, Thunder is a suitable team. Lotes, are you ready to die? Lin Xiao sneered, then commanded Death God Knight to launch an attack. At the same time, Slime's fire-based forbidden curse was also being prepared rapidly. You! Lotes glared angrily, his skin cracking further from the force he used. While facing the enemy, he spread his spirit power outwards, attempting to divert the distant seawater back. This situation is completely different from the Starry Sky domain field released by Yen Anning. However, what shocked him was that no matter how he manipulated the seawater, it would inexplicably evaporate as soon as he entered this area. This area seems to have become an absolute no-go zone. Boom! Nearly 100 forbidden curse fell, exploding directly on Lote's head, causing blood to flow freely. However, the blood was quickly evaporated, leaving only a bloodstain on his body. Xiao Mo returned to Lin Xiao's side and built a special barrier for him to isolate him from the drought brought by Calamity Divine Power. They're too strong. Death God Knight and the others probably won't be able to hold out for long. Lin Xiao sensed the immense power of Calamity Divine Power. If things continued to drag on, even they might not be able to withstand it. Lotes was blown to pieces, smoke billowing from his mouth, not entirely due to slime, but more so because of the horror of Calamity Divine Power. Leaving the sea would weaken him, but it wouldn't significantly affect his fighting ability. However, drought Calamity was causing her to dehydrate rapidly. His body had become mostly shriveled, and his strength was rapidly draining away at an alarming rate. Death sentence. The scythe of the death god struck, dealing another heavy blow to the already extremely weakened Lotes. Drought did have an influence on Death God Knight, but since he was already an undead creature, his influence was the least among all the others. Court Death. Lotes swung his tentacles, but the speed was on a completely different level compared to before, and Death God Knight easily dodged them. The Forbidden Curse, the source of world-ending fire, strikes again. Along with the Goblin Emperor's Purple Heaven Tribulation Divine Thunder. Ah! Lotes let out a scream he had never heard before. You're really tough, you're still alive. Could your true form be a turtle? Seeing that Lotes was still alive, Lin Xiao couldn't help but complain. Death? Ha ha ha. You're the one who'll die. Lotes, who was already severely injured and on the verge of death, burst into maniacal laughter, and a small door suddenly opened in the palace bound by his tentacles. Chapter 416. North Sea Coast. Fishermen are carrying out their fishing operations, and a dark-skinned man is using binoculars to look out at the sea and observe the sea conditions. Suddenly, he asked, "Do you think the sea will go bald?" "Hi, bald?" What does that mean? The man's entourage was baffled by his question. Just like human hair, a patch of hair might inexplicably fall out in middle age, the dark-skinned man said. The accompanying person thought for a moment and said, "Human hair can go bald, but the sea probably won't." "Yeah, no way. But why does it look like there's a hollow piece there?" As he spoke, he handed over the binoculars. The accompanying personnel had binoculars, looked in the direction it was pointing, and their eyes suddenly widened. A fault line appeared on the distant sea, revealing a large area of empty land. "I'm really bald." Seeing Lotes, whose lamp was already burnt out and flickering in the wind. He suddenly burst into wild laughter. Then his tentacles suddenly rose up, binding an ancient palace covered with seaweed and algae, which showed that it had been submerged in the sea for many years. Upon seeing the palace within Lot's tentacles, Lin Xiao suddenly recalled what Calamity Spirit had said not long ago. The Calamity Spirit encountered a giant octopus in the sea, and the giant octopus's tentacles were tied to a palace. Giant octopus is clearly referring to Lot's, and the palace in his hands. Lin Xiao didn't know what was inside, but since he could carry it with him, it must be extraordinary. The palace doors slowly opened, and then a spirit slowly flew out from them. The spirit had exquisite features, slightly closed eyes, long golden hair that cascaded down to its waist, and a pale gold dress that accentuated its noble status. Lin Xiao did not feel threatened by the other party, but he was greatly shocked after reading the other party's information. Venus spirit body. Grade? Quality, mythical. Description: Venus suppressed Lot's at the cost of his life, and the remaining souls were collected by Lot's and healed with the help of the outer gods. Now they are manipulated by Lot's and enslaved. It's Venus. Can be said that the first deity Lin Xiao came into contact with was Venus. He provided him with considerable assistance in the early stages of dungeon, and later learned some of Venus's past. Unexpectedly, her soul was collected by Lot's after her death and made into a slave. Ha ha ha! Aren't you surprised? You've suppressed me with your life, so I'll make your soul suffer eternal damnation and become my slave for all eternity. Lot's laughed wildly, and under his manipulation, Venus took action. As the healing divine light shone down, Lot's cracked skin began to heal at a visible speed, as did his injuries. Oh no! Don't give him time to recover, Lin Xiao shouted. Lot's was already difficult to deal with, and now that we finally saw a glimmer of hope to kill him, Venus has appeared. Two gods who can fight them. Seeing this, Death God Knight realized the danger and immediately launched an attack. Slime and nine-tailed celestial fox followed closely behind, and Forbidden Curse was immediately released, blasting directly towards Lot's. Ha ha ha! Lot's laughed, opening his tentacles to meet the attacks from Death God Knight and the others. Boom! Blood flowed freely, but because he was in the midst of a natural disaster, drought, the blood quickly evaporated, leaving a red mark on his body. But Lot's remained unmoved, laughing as he endured the attacks from Death God Knight and the others. His injuries were healing at a visible speed, even faster than the injuries inflicted on him by Death God Knight and others. I told you, your only path is to become my sacrifice. Having said that, Lot's ignored the attacks from Death God Knight and the others, and launched an attack on Lin Xiao. Damn it, it's a cheat code. Lin Xiao couldn't help but swear. Imagine your opponent is fighting you while standing in the fountain. No, they're fighting you while carrying the fountain on their back. Who could possibly win against that? Faced with the oncoming attack, Lin Xiao could only dodge hastily, and then summoned the ancient mechanical ox. You still harbor the summoned beast? Lot's was shocked. He thought these few summoned beasts were all Lin Xiao had to offer, but he hadn't expected him to have more. Lin Xiao sat directly inside and began manipulating the ancient mechanical ox. "I'll fight you to the death." Lin Xiao, controlling the ancient mechanical ox, launched an attack, unleashing a terrifying barrage of fire that covered the entire area without any blind spots. "It's no use, you're too weak. You can't hurt me at all." Lotz didn't even dodge, but instead withstood Lin Xiao's attacks head-on, as if he was willing to trade his life for hers. Queen of Flowers and Ghostmon were summoned one after another, along with Snow Maiden Doll, which he had previously recalled, and Ice and Snow Queen, which were called back. Although the environment is not suitable for them to fight, this is the only option they have now. The opponent's recovery ability is simply too strong. What happened? The Ice and Snow Queen was surprised to see that the battle was not over yet, because this kind of thing rarely happens. This guy is too cunning. He hid a Venus spirit body. I couldn't even fight back as much as he recovered, Lin Xiao explained quickly.
Venu.
The Ice and Snow Queen was startled and immediately asked, "Didn't Venus die a long time ago?" Lin Xiao. "He is dead, but his soul is imprisoned by Lotz and is now at their mercy." Ice and Snow Queen remained silent, glanced at the battle ahead, and then joined in. Nether Beast was also participating in a battle for the first time. Faced with the enormous creature in front of it, it could only keep dodging and then barking at the creature in a childish voice, followed by spitting out flames. "It's no use, you can't hurt me right now." Lotz laughed wildly, facing the attacks of the summoned beasts without flinching, directly confronting them head-on. Queen of Flowers was the first to be seriously injured. Such a natural disaster environment was not suitable for her to fight. Lin Xiao only sent her out to finish off the remaining damage because she had no other choice. However, it seems that the results are still not ideal. The healing effects of Venus' spirit body are insane. Despite withstanding the attacks of Death God Knight and others, and enduring the effects of the drought, Lotz still managed to recover. He was almost exactly the same as when I first met him. Two gods, that's too abnormal. While manipulating the ancient mechanical ox to launch an attack, Lin Xiao pondered how to break the deadlock. Time is running out because the drought is also affecting himself and Death God Knight, and the longer the battle goes on, the more disadvantageous it will be. They thought they could end the battle quickly, but who would have thought Lotz had such a backup plan? Seeing the summoned beast getting injured and falling down one after another, Lin Xiao became extremely anxious. Just then, a voice rang in his ear. "Why don't you fight him somewhere else?" Chapter 417. Why don't you fight him somewhere else? Upon hearing this, Lin Xiao was taken aback and looked at Calamity Spirit beside her. Calamity Spirit looked at him the same way, and seeing that Lin Xiao didn't speak, it continued, "Why are you fighting in an environment that's disadvantageous to you? I can see your Yukiana is sizzling with water. Exactly, if you go to a better spot, you'll be able to beat this giant octopus." Hearing the words of the Calamity Spirits, Lin Xiao suddenly awoke. Yes, the calamity is in our own hands, so why fight the enemy in an environment that is unfavorable to us? The initial idea was to keep Lotz away from the seawater and defeat it in one fell swoop. But now things have changed and drought can no longer do anything about it. So why not change to an environment that is more favorable to itself? Thinking of this, Lin Xiao suddenly shouted, "Chaos!" A chaotic mist appeared beside Lin Xiao. "Disaster, snow disaster." Yes, as long as you change to an environment that is favorable to you, there is no need to suffer unnecessarily. Ah? Calamity Spirit suddenly cried out. Its entire body became clear, and then it flew outside. Lin Xiao already knew the function of Calamity Spirit and was no longer surprised. He left the body of ancient mechanical ox and then returned it to the summoning space. Also returning with the mechanical bull were Spider Prince, Goblin Emperor, and Nether Beast. Seeing Lin Xiao's actions, Lotz immediately mocked. "Are you giving up? Ha ha ha. Where's your arrogance from before? Weren't you going to kill me? Come on, ha ha ha." Lin Xiao ignored Lotz's mockery. "Laugh? Let's see if you can still laugh later." Lin Xiao activated Chaos Summoner's exclusive skill, repeatedly chanting in his mind, "Ice, ice, ice." Chaos and disorder triggered. Randomly gain the attribute Ice, Ice. All your attack skills deal additional ice damage. Damage is increased in ice elemental environments. "They're here." Lin Xiao's eyes lit up, and he immediately bestowed this attribute upon Death God Knight. Just then, it suddenly started snowing. At first, no one paid attention until the snow became heavier and heavier. In the blink of an eye, the originally dry land was covered with white snow, and the temperature around it dropped sharply. At this point, Lotz also noticed something was wrong. How could snow fall in the original drought? Not only was it snowing, but it was originally in the ocean, but somehow it did something that instantly drained the seawater, creating this arid land. The change in the environment allowed the weakened Snow Maiden doll to regain its fighting power, with ice elements continuously flowing into its body until it was full. "You changed the environment?" Ice and Snow Queen couldn't help but glance at Lin Xiao. He didn't know how the other party had managed to do it. Changing such a large-scale environment was clearly beyond the capabilities of ordinary people. "This is not the time to discuss this. This is our last chance," Lin Xiao said. The change in environment greatly increased the strength of Snow Maiden Doll and Ice and Snow Queen. Nine-tailed Celestial Fox and Slime were affected, but the problems were not significant. The former can freely switch attributes, and it also provides a small boost in snow disaster environments. The latter has mastered almost all the forbidden curses of all systems, which is enough to cope with any environment. As for Death God Knight, endowed with ice attributes, he is also adapted to combat in his environment. With the amplification of the calamity, snow disaster, Snow Maiden Doll and others regained their fighting power, even becoming stronger than before. Ice Waterfall Divine Art. The sky tore open, and a terrifying waterfall of ice erupted, rushing straight at Lotz's crown, instantly freezing him. But the freeze was lifted by his Venus spirit body the next second. Purifies in seconds. But Snow Maiden Doll didn't care at all. Freezing was just a side effect of his ability, as long as he could be hurt. Nine-tailed Celestial Fox and Slime skills were ready, and they slammed directly at Lotz, causing severe frostbite to appear on his body. Death God Knight had already rushed to Lotz's side. The scythe of the Death God slashed down fiercely, and the originally dense death aura now had a hint of icy blue. As the scythe of the Death God slid, A trace of ice crystals appeared on Lot's body. How could that be? Lot looked at the group of people in front of him in horror. They were now capable of hurting him. Moreover, it was under the continuous healing of the Venus spirit body. I told you, you will die today. With the help of the environment and the restoration of Snow Maiden Doll, it was finally able to cause damage to Lot's. Unlike before, I don't get as many replies as I do when I type. You! Lot's glared angrily. The change in environment did not have a significant impact on her. In fact, it could be said that it made her feel a little comfortable. But he could sense that the Snow Maiden Doll, which had been in a weakened state, had recovered to its peak fighting strength. She has the same combat power as that Death God Knight. Rhodos no longer dared to withstand the attacks of Death God Knight and others. He was no longer as arrogant as before, but even so, the damage on his body continued to increase. In addition to the effects of Death God Knight and Snow Maiden Doll, there was also the influence of the environment, Calamity, which made him feel that his limbs were becoming very slow to manipulate, and his blood seemed to be slowly freezing. Suddenly realizing something, he glared at Lin Xiao. This is Calamity divine power. How do you possess such power? He understood. The sudden disappearance of the seawater was due to the power of drought, and the current heavy snow disaster, is the same. Lin Xiao simply blinked. Venus's power is at your disposal, so it's not strange for me to use Calamity divine power, is it? That's impossible. The god of Calamity has long since. You absolutely cannot obtain his power, much less command it. Lot roared, his voice tinged with fear. Nothing is impossible, you see it now. Lin Xiao smiled slightly. While Lot was still reeling from the shock, the attacks from Death God Knight, Snow Maiden Doll, and the others did not stop. Instead, they intensified. I don't know how you did it, but you're finished. Many people will be watching you, and you'll never have a peaceful day again. Hearing Lot's words, Lin Xiao frowned, but remained unmoved. The endless turmoil is a matter for the future. I'm afraid you won't see it now. As the scythe of the death god descended, Lot was once again severely injured, and even the healing power of the Venus spirit body could not restore him immediately. After all, Venus was merely a lower-level god, let alone now that he was just a spirit. We can cooperate, so no one will know your whereabouts and they won't bother you. This was the first time Lin Xiao had heard Lot back down and actually propose a collaboration. Humph. Even if I kill you, no one will know. Lin Xiao gave a cold laugh. Let's do it. Chapter 418. Lin Xiao was naturally not swayed by Lot's few words. He didn't know the origin of the god of Calamity or why anyone would be targeting it. But one can also imagine that it might be related to the unknown god behind the god of Calamity. The snowstorm intensified, and Lot's body seemed to be frozen in place. Even with the evolution and healing of the Venus spirit body, it was impossible to free him. This environment was paradise for Snow Maiden Doll, and the power of its ice-type forbidden curse kept increasing, with its speed becoming dozens of times faster than before. At this moment, Lin Xiao noticed that something was wrong with nine-tailed celestial fox and slime, and immediately recalled them to the summoning space. Although the snow disaster, Calamity environment had some influence over them, it ultimately could not withstand the power of the calamity. Lucky Spirit also returned to the summoning space, as the boss's amplification effect had long since ended. As for Xiao, she was still fine and even winked at him. Xiao Jing, due to her unique physical structure, wasn't greatly affected, but Ice and Snow Queen, although this is also an icy and snowy environment, you should still go back. I feel like you can't handle it anymore, Lin Xiao said to her. Ice and Snow Queen didn't try to be brave. Although ice and snow are his specialties and he is also the inheritor of the ice god, he is only an inheritor and not the true ice god. The Calamity Divine Power Snowstorm is still proving difficult to manage. Now only Death God Knight, Snow Maiden Doll, Xiao Mo, and Xiao Jing remain on the field. As for Chaos, it is not included. Although there were only 4 summoned beasts, Lin Xiao felt that killing Lotz was more than enough. Do you have any last words? Or could you tell me who helped you resurrect Venus's spirit? Lin Xiao was very curious about this, because the description of the Venus spirit body mentions the help of external forces. This external force is clearly a god from the great universe. Lotz's expression darkened, and his voice echoed directly in Lin Xiao's mind. Cooperate with me, and I can tell you anything you want. This place can't protect you, and the temple can't keep you in check. They will come after you. Only by cooperating with me will I be able to keep this a secret for you, and that way you will have the opportunity to grow. But it's not without conditions. As long as you can grow up and help me break the seal, we will never owe each other anything again. Lotz has once again requested to cooperate. Lin Xiao found it laughable, but still asked, "What's in it for me?" "Benefits." Lotz was taken aback. "I kept your secret. Isn't that a benefit?" "No need. As long as we kill the gods of your great universe, they won't know anything about this place." Lin Xiao stroked his chin. "How about this? Tell me the secret of the palace on your body, and maybe I can consider it." "Don't even think about it." Lotz rejected the offer without even thinking about it. "Really? That's a shame." Lin Xiao shrugged, not caring at all. "Anyway, everything you have will be mine after you die. Take care of him." Under Lin Xiao's command, Death God Knight and Snow Maiden Doll launched another attack, showing no mercy, and each move was deadly. "You'll die a horrible death. Just wait to be held accountable." Congratulations on successfully defeating Lotz, Boss God. Experience plus 100 million. Hearing the kill notification, Lin Xiao finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, we've dealt with this troublesome guy. When they heard about the experience they had gained, their eyes widened involuntarily. Then, beams of upgrade light shone from his body, and upgrade notification sounds echoed in his ears. Congratulations on reaching level 69. Congratulations on reaching level 70. Congratulations on reaching level 71. The upgrade notification sound kept ringing in my ears, and it only stopped after a minute. The level eventually stopped at 75. Promoted 7 levels in a row. Lin Xiao was somewhat incredulous when she saw her level. Killing a god can grant so much experience? No, Lotz isn't a complete god yet, since he has fallen from grace. but the experience gained is still terrifying. Obtained, Lot's tentacles, consumable, *10, second spine long sword, weapon epic, *1, spirit control, skill, *1, Lot's, long legs, materials, *100, Lot's power core, god, *1, a massive loot event with all sorts of materials, consumables, weapons, and skill books, ranging from high level to epic. However, what Lin Xiao was most concerned about was Lot's core power. Lot's power core. The power core left behind by Lot's after his death, containing a trace of power, but not much good stuff. What kind of abilities will Chaos gain after eating it? Lin Xiao was eagerly anticipating giving the core of Lot's power directly to Chaos. Your summoned beast Chaos has consumed the Lot's power core, grown stronger, and leveled up to 40. Chaos gains a special ability, Spirit Domain. Spirit Domain releases an invisible spirit control domain, forcibly controlling creatures of lower level than itself, compelling them to do anything. Note: creatures controlled by spirit will become your slaves for life, and you will gain permanent dominion over them, which cannot be broken. Note: when controlling a creature with a lower control level but higher spirit power than you, there is a chance it can break free from spirit's control. It's Lot's ability. Upon seeing the new ability Chaos gained, Lin Xiao immediately understood that it was in effect. As long as the opponent's level was lower than his own, he could use spirit control on them. Moreover, it is a permanent control that cannot be lifted, not even by oneself. Isn't this a bit too domineering? Lin Xiao scratched his head. If it weren't for his own specialization in spirit, which allowed him to withstand Lot's spirit control, he would probably only face certain death if he were to deal with it. After letting Chaos go back to rest, Lin Xiao checked the other rewards. Lot's tentacle. Upon use, spirit plus 10,000. Such a simple and direct effect. Second spine longsword, epic when attacking. There is a chance to trigger Lot's tentacle attack. This is pretty good, and it's an level 80 epic weapon. Lin Xiao looked at the longsword's attributes. Although the attributes were good, he was not a warrior, so he couldn't use it. If the attack speed is too fast, can Lot's continuously launch tentacle attacks? It's terrifying to imagine a warrior wielding a second vertebral longsword at incredible speed, with Lot's tentacles thrashing about like an octopus, relentlessly striking at the enemy. The remaining materials, consumables, and weapons weren't particularly impressive. Their attributes and effects were all good, but not to the point of wowing Lin Xiao. After tidying everything up, Lin Xiao didn't rush to leave, but instead looked at the palace in the distance. Lot's cares so much. I wonder what's inside. Chapter 419. Lot's is dead. In the great universe, amidst the thick fog, a voice rang out, carrying a heavy tone. Dead? How is that possible? I just came back from there not long ago. Those who returned were shocked, even incredulous, upon hearing this news. He had just fulfilled Lot's request not long ago, but in the blink of an eye, he was told that the person had died. What was this all about? Was he working for them for nothing? The path to Lot's is blocked. We must find a new path as soon as possible. We must get there before Quidditch, the cursed god, or we will get nothing. Now that things had come to this, the returning person, though furious, did not delve further into how Lotz had suddenly died. Instead, he said, "When I returned from there, I found that the temple's protection seemed much weaker. Perhaps we can infiltrate directly." No, a child riding a deer suddenly spoke up, speaking in a wise and mature tone. Even if the temple has weakened, its powerful protective abilities are still beyond our ability to contend with. Then what should we do? Are we just going to give up? The great universe is getting more and more chaotic, and the flames of war are almost reaching us. The god in the mist spoke coldly. Try to find a new path. The abyss may have many options. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by the god in the mist. The abyss? Quidditch and the others control the three strongest beings in the abyss. We have no chance. But I've heard there's a fourth one, and I haven't found out who's behind him yet, the boy riding the deer said. The fourth one? The god in the mist was shocked. Actually, there's another way, the returning person said. Seeing the two men looking at him, he continued, "Since someone killed Lotz, does that mean he's stronger than the other guy? Maybe we can use him to pave the way." The deity in the mist exchanged glances with the child riding the deer. The latter said, "You can give it a try, but remember not to provoke him. Communicating with him in this way will reduce your strength to less than 1/10. Since he could kill Lotz, he could also kill you. Don't worry, I'll be careful." Lin Xiao arrived in front of the palace, which was called a palace, but upon closer inspection, it was just a very small bell tower church. As he stepped out the door, Death God Knight and Snow Maiden Doll followed him, in case anything went wrong. Upon entering, Lin Xiao was momentarily dazzled by the gold and silver jewelry before her. This? Lin Xiao picked up a piece of gold and silver jewelry from the pile in front of her. Lotz. Could he be a greedy person? Suddenly, I had the feeling that a giant dragon liked to collect treasures. Wow, so many sparkly things. Is this a crown? Why does it look so old and ugly? You've never seen anything like this before. You've seen the world. Don't stuff things into your pockets. Calamity Spirit plunged headlong into the pile of gold and jewels before him, having a great time like a child jumping into a ball pit. Lin Xiao ignored them. He wasn't particularly interested in these things, and he felt that Lotz wouldn't be interested in them either. So what was the purpose of him collecting these things? Is it to cover up the truth? Lin Xiao went to another place and found that there were only gold and silver jewelry on the first floor, so she went to the second floor. This bell tower church only has 2 floors. Since there's nothing on the first floor, the thing might be on the second floor. Upon reaching the second floor, Lin Xiao saw a spirit standing before him, Venus. At this moment, her eyes were vacant, like an empty shell without a soul. After Lotz died, I thought she had disappeared, but I never expected that she would come back here. Looking at the Venus spirit body in front of her, Lin Xiao wondered if she could bring her over. After all, it was a former life form, and its powerful healing and purification abilities were quite remarkable. Lotz dead, wanna join me? Can you hear me? If you can, give me a response. "Hello." Lin Xiao called out a few times, but found that the other party did not respond. I walked up to her and waved my hand, but it was still the same. "Xiao Jing, take it with you using the spirit coffin." Lin Xiao summoned Xiao Jing and spoke to it. A spirit coffin appeared behind Venus's spirit body and then closed. But just as the spirit coffin was being retracted, Venus's spirit body passed right through it. "Can't you touch it?" Lin Xiao reached out and touched it, only to find that her arm had passed right through her body. "Perhaps we could use a method like Lot's?" With this in mind, Lin Xiao summoned chaos and then deployed the spirit domain. The moment the spirit bath was covered, a notification was received. "You have gained spirit control over the Venus spirit body." "It's done." Lin Xiao's eyes lit up. When she looked at the Venus spirit body, she found that it was also looking up at her, seemingly waiting for a command. "Come over." Lin Xiao tried to give the command and saw the Venus spirit body float in front of him. After careful examination, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Venus is dead, but his soul has been forcibly left behind and made into this state. Forget it, what's done is done. Giant octopus is dead. Now you can just follow me. Xiao Jing. The spirit coffin rose again, this time successfully taking in the Venus spirit body. Spirit coffin quantity +1. Since the Venus spirit body is controlled by the spirit and cannot be stored in the summoning space, Xiao Jing can only store it in a spirit coffin. I wonder if spirit coffin can save her. Lin Xiao held a sliver of hope for this, as the spirit coffin possessed a special resurrection property. However, it's probably very unlikely, since Venus has reached the level of a god, making it extremely difficult to save her. The spirit coffin sank and was collected by Xiao Jing. Lin Xiao searched the vicinity to see if there was anything of value. Such a bell tower church could not possibly contain only the pile of gold and silver jewels at the bottom. If you try to protect it with gold and silver jewelry, you can't hide it from his abyssal eye. So the pair of gold and silver jewelry didn't hide anything inside. Strange. Lotz only collected these gold and silver jewels out of greed. Or am I just overthinking it? After exploring the second floor, Lin Xiao returned to the first floor. The first floor has a very simple structure, with only a few rooms besides the lobby. The room was filled with seaweed and moss, and there was nothing stored inside. All you could see at a glance were the four walls. It seems that all we have left are these gold and silver jewelry. Lin Xiao was greatly disappointed. Just then, the calamity spirit ran over, holding a green gem in his hand. Look, I found something good. Lin Xiao took the green gem from its hand. It looked like just an ordinary emerald. Curious, she asked, "What is this?" "I don't know, but it carries a hint of divine power. It must be some kind of divine gemstone."